Hey everyone, I'm super excited to have with me Lynn Guinn, who is the Global Strategic Pricing Leader of Cargill. Thank you so much for making time.
Philip, I appreciate the invitation, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, and maybe before we get started, if you could just share a few descriptive words about Cargill for those of the viewers who don't know Cargill, and also where does pricing sit within the organization?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Cargill is the largest agricultural business in the world. I mean, we're basically $165 billion multi-business global footprint. We have 70 businesses that are organized in 4 enterprises, and those 4 enterprises roll up underneath the Cargill umbrella. So in reverse order, the way that we're structured from a pricing standpoint, to your question, is we have a commercial excellence COE, which I'm the global strategic pricing leader of. And from there, the enterprises are below that and responsible for execution. Our responsibility, and my team's responsibility, is really to set the strategies, of course, that we're going to execute and implement, along with the people development, the processes, and then the technology and data to support and enable the people and processes to deliver. The decision rights, which is probably where the root of your question resides, we keep that with the P&L. And the P&L resides in the enterprises down in the operating businesses. So those decision rights remain at the business level. So we have a term, we're a global business, but we like to keep the decisions local. So it's a local kind of decision structure as it rolls up, because the profitability decisions we want made as close to the customer as possible.
So is your role more of an advisor role? Is it more a, controlling police type of role? Is it a consultant role? How would you describe that if the P&L sits in the regions?
Well, we have obviously some Cargill, which would be the overall goals that would have dollars attached to them as far as how we should go about growing the business. And the growth goals, which is profitable growth, not just grow for growth's sakes, but profitable growth, comes back on the commercial team. So from a commercial excellence standpoint, we then help the businesses establish what those dollar opportunities should be that we go after, and how we do it and why we do it. It's their job to execute. So to your question, we have both a strategy, mentorship responsibility, as well as helping to make sure with the governance and oversight that our businesses have the capabilities to execute and deliver on what our business strategies are and what our objectives are and our profitability targets.
Got it. Before we talk maybe a bit more about the complexity and the challenges of pricing, I just would love to hear a bit more about your personal journey. I know you've been for a long time. It feels like we've known each other forever. Like my first PPS, probably I met you already. So you've been in that journey for a very long time and built a really strong and impressive team over time. Would just love to hear kind of about the beginnings. How did you start? How did you get into pricing? And how did you turn it into the function it is today?
It's a long journey. So, originally I came into the organization in the finance side of the business, but I have to say, and I say it often, I was fortunate enough to be tapped on the shoulder by president of one of our business units and a vice president of operations that say, hey, you need to get out of finance, get over here where you can really do some good for the business. You're actually too smart to be in finance. Get over here where you can do some good and really make some money. So I moved into operations, and I went into plant operations where we actually physically make the products. And I worked in the plants for quite a number of years, and then went into international operations and was overseas in the Asia Pacific region for about 4 years. And then I came back and I worked in our trading side just for a little bit in strategy, even for a shorter amount of time. And then I moved into sales and pricing, and I've been in pricing and strategic pricing now for about 18 years.
So did pricing already exist as a function when you got in?
In the business I started in, pricing existed. It did. It did not exist across all of Cargill. I mean, it was, a lot of the pricing was done at the sales team level or by the business manager or product line manager, et cetera. And I'm not saying that we don't still have some of that today, but we have a structure in the organization. And one of the things I'm really proud of is we actually have strategic pricing is a function that's recognized in our human resources. We actually have jobs, the function of strategic pricing is actually a recognized function, just like finance or human resources or legal. Yeah, as it is. So that didn't happen until 2 years ago. So that was one of the things that from a commercial excellence standpoint that we were able to implement across all of our businesses, which enables our people to grow so much within the discipline, and it allows the opportunity for the professional development of movement between different roles, just like I've had in my career as well, to move between different functions. You could be in the business operations, supply chain, finance, engineering, wherever, and then move throughout the business. And it actually has a career path, and it can be a to destination for a career, or it can be a through destination to grow your career and go on to greater things in other commercial roles or other places in leadership in our businesses.
I definitely want to talk about that at a later point. But before we do, just to get a bit more background on Cargill and the industry overall, if you could share some of the challenges, complexity of the industry doing pricing, because I know it's not the industry. There's a whole ton of industries you guys are active in. But what are some of the typical challenges that pricers in Cargill encounter?
Well, we are a primary processor of core commodities in many of our businesses. And then we have value-added processing and then extra value-added as you move up the supply chain. So the volatility that exists in our businesses and the risk that exists in our business is enormous. So we deal with it I'm not even going to say every day. We deal with it every second, every minute, because the markets move so dramatically. And one of the underlying challenges that people say, oh my gosh, my raw materials, every one of my raw materials value is visible to the entire world all the way into the future because they're almost all traded. So we have tradable commodities in many of the businesses that drive what we're producing in the primary processing or secondary processing of those products. We also trade those. So we have a trading business as well. In our trading business, we're functioning in that world. So those challenges of having to be on the market all the time are something that a lot of other pricing organizations probably are not as comfortable with as we are. I mean, it's what we have to do. It's not that we don't shun away from it. It's what our customers desire. It's the way the markets work. It's the way we work. Right. It's an inherent part of us. So the speed and the tools that we have available to us to create the decision-making process, it comes down to the decisions that people are making to drive the business. Those have to be in place, which is, again, it goes back to the core of what we're responsible for. And I say when I say we, the team is responsible for is the development of people with the capabilities to execute, the processes in place to be able to execute at the pace and the speed that is necessary to transact business with those customers, and then the technologies to support the people and processes. So it comes full circle constantly.
Quite a bit, yeah. It's like I hear it's very commoditized industry at its core. Not necessarily what you guys make out of it, but in principle, you treat with a lot of commodities, very transparent, massive volatility, and not just due to inflation, but just because of the market itself. The overall transparency with the market, where everybody knows costs of everybody, and within that, you guys actually, I know you work with value pricing and have implemented value pricing, so quite challenging. In that context, also, what you already mentioned, systems is important and people are important. What are some of your proudest achievements in the pricing space?